Hello.
Hello,
What's your name?
my name is Stian.
Hey Stian, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Where did you grow up and where do you live now?
I grew up in Bergen and right now I live in Stavanger.
And where's Stavanger?
Stavanger is a little bit south west from in Norway.
Right. Is it nice there?
Yeah, it's quite nice. It's by the coast, so it's, yeah.
Beautiful. And what's been the predominant practice of your life?
My dominant practice is Ashtanga and also meditation, and yeah, through the yoga practice I get my pranayama. So.
And how's the practice been for you?
Yeah, well, practice is a little bit like life sometimes. Sometimes it's very good and sometimes it's a little hard. I have to balance it to my work, so, but it's quite good.
And when did you start practice?
I started practice yoga in 2015.
Right. And what was the reason you started yoga?
Well, it was a little coincidence that I started yoga. I was in a little chaotic and I was in very egoistic, chaotic, stressful life. I had been struggling a lot with drugs, and I've been in and out of prison several times, and yeah, it was really bad at a point. And by a coincidence, I met this guy called Alexander Medin, and he invited me to India with him in this project that he started with Back in the Ring. And we went to Purple Valley in Goa, and we started practice yoga there. It was my first time. I never practiced yoga before, and yeah. And after about a week of practicing every day, I felt this remarkable wellness in my body and mind and breath and connection with everything, and I just felt so much joy, and I was just. And this thing that I got here, I want more of it. And it was something that, it was just like a light turned on in my head. And I knew that this thing, I want more of it.
When you talk about like you'd been in prison and you'd been on drugs, how bad was that?
It was pretty bad. I overdosed a couple of times. I woke up in the hospital. I actually was dead a couple of times, and yeah, I was dealing a lot of drugs. I was selling, you know. So, and I was just in a very dark, egoistic place, and I was just thinking about getting more money, getting more drugs. I didn't care about who I walked over or what I had to do for getting my shit, to say it like that. So it was pretty bad, and yeah, I've been several years in prison. So,
could you share with me how someone gets to that point? What's the catalyst for, like, is there a catalyst, or for you, what was the start of the journey into that part of your life?
Well, in my teenage years, when I was 15, my twin brother died from inhalating lighter gas fluid. And yeah, that was like somebody put a hammer to my feelings and just hit them right out of me, and I just was numb for like 1.5 years, and I was just like lost in myself, and I didn't know what to do. I was like fumbling around in the darkness and trying to feel a connection with something or somebody, you know. And I started hanging out with this, yeah, like a crew or a gang, you can call them, and they were like, we were smoking weed, and we were like hanging in parks in Bergen, and we were just, you know, I felt like this was my friends, and these were my homies or whatever, you know. And it's just like this and this from there it just spiraled. You know, we starting using more and more drugs that was harder, and you know, ecstasy came, and LSD and amphetamine, and you just, and eventually when it got harder, the people got harder, and they got more selfish and egoistic, and yeah, so it's just like a snowball was going around. It was darker and darker, and it was heavier and heavier, and was selling more drugs, and so I don't know. It's the whole thing was just in a bubble so many years, and I was just hiding from everybody and myself as well, and I don't know.
So what was the catalyst that made you find or reach out to someone like Alex?
Yeah, I came to this point that I knew that if I'm gonna live, then I have to change. If I'm gonna stay in the drug world or in that world that I was living, I'm going to die, because I already died a couple of times, and I was lonely, and I was, even though I had a room full of people, they were only there because I had drugs and money and a place to stay, and they weren't my friends, and I just felt alone. And I didn't have anybody that really was there for me, you know, and so I knew that I have to change, and yeah, so I had this opportunity to meet Alexander, and I was also under sentencing, like I got caught with a lot of amphetamine, and they sentenced me to like this. I had to sentence home in my where I lived in Bergen, and I have to come and give urine tests 3 times a week, and you know, meeting up 3 times a week. And when I was in this program, they talked about Alexander Medin. I was like, okay, Alexander Medin, who is that? He said, okay, he's a famous yoga person in the yoga world. I said, okay, I go and listen to this. He had this presentation about back in the ring. And I came to this presentation. I was a little stoned actually when I came there, and I came late, and I was thinking, what is this guy talking about? He's talking about yoga, and it can save you from a lot of suffering, and you know. And I was like, this man is crazy. So I was actually sitting there and thinking, should I go or should I stay? But something made me stay. And after he's finished with his presentation, I went up to him and I asked him, hey, Alexander, I'm 35 years old, and you're talking about yoga. It's like this magic pill or something. But look at me, I've done a lot of things. I've been using drugs for 20 years, and what can actually the yoga do for me? And he looked at me in the eyes, and he just put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, yeah, well, I think you should come to nursing. I think you should come to us in India and just meet the guys back in the ring, and just feel how these people are and the love they have, and try some yoga and just relax. I'm gonna show you. So I still didn't believe him, but I came to nursing. I had a little crazy trip up there, because I came up here with a Polish man I knew from the drug community in Bergen, and he drove me up in the middle of the night. I was so high, I just fell out of the car, and yeah. And I was here 2 weeks, and I just saw all these people were hugging and looking at each other and gave a lot of love to each other. And I was like, shit, this is too much, you know. I wanted to leave after a week, and Alexander just made me stay for another week. But I didn't practice yoga because I think it was too strange, yoga. And it's like I didn't want to go to the yoga room. Like I was too uncomfortable in myself and my body and everything. So yeah, well, after 2 weeks, he invited me to India, and yeah, well, there you got it. When I got to India, then I finally got the courage to go to the yoga mat and practice. And Yeah.
What did you first discover when you got on the yoga mat for the first time?
I met myself first. You know, when I came to the yoga mat, I met my ego. You know, that what the heck? I don't want to stay here. What I'm doing, this is crazy. I'm standing here breathing. You know, and then I realized that this is doing something to me, and it's doing something to my mind. And I was like, so I then discovered that my breath made me come in connection with my feelings and my head, and it started coming in connection, and I'm starting to, you know, I cry on a yoga mat, and it's just a lot of feeling came out, and I couldn't control them like I could before, you know. It was just, yeah, so it was crazy.
Can I ask you something like quite personal? When you were on the yoga mat, was there something to do with your brother there?
Yeah, because I haven't really, in my brother's funeral, I didn't cry. I couldn't cry because I was already in my hard shell, you know. So I didn't get any. I didn't go to any therapist or any, you know. Nobody ever talked to me about it. My parents didn't talk to me about it. I was let, you know. It was just handle it or don't, you know. So it was a lot of feelings came out, and I don't know if I still have got this kind of therapy from it, you know. But I'm in a place in myself now that I'm fine with it, you know.
So Purple Valley was a major point in your life.
Yeah, definitely. It changed the direction of my life. Still, when I see videos and photos from that yoga shala in Purple Valley, I just like it gets emotional, because that was the place when I made a choice that I'm gonna change. You know, I'm gonna change my life now. I'm gonna do everything that it takes to do it. You know.
And so, what happened after Purple Valley?
After Purple Valley, I went back to Bergen. I was there for about a year, and then I go into this. I had to go into rehabilitation. This was like this. I think I had to do, because otherwise they would put me into jail again. You know. And I went to rehabilitation. I was there for 8 months, and after those 8 months, I moved back to Nøsen, where Alexander has this yoga retreat center, and I lived there for 5 years.
And what was living in Nøsen like for 5 years? What did that do for you?
A lot of things. It made me get good routines. You know, wake up in the morning, go to work, do the best that I could. Practice my yoga, and yeah, help other people. Yeah, did a lot of things.
How are you now?
Now I'm in a really good place in my life. I have a good job. I have a good relationship with a girl. We are working. We are teaching yoga. Yeah, I give something back to people who are struggling like I did, and yeah, I'm in a good place.
That's beautiful to hear, man.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. What's as we kind of finish it up, what's something that you'd like to share with others that you've learned about yourself while practicing through your life?
Yeah, first. It's was important for me to be patient, because yeah, I had a lot of, my body was damaged after a lot of years of using drugs, you know, and also when I was in rehabilitation, I put on a lot of weight, so I was like, so it's just be patient and focus on your breathing, and yeah. Try to find a connection between your breath and your feelings, and yeah. everything will be fine.
Thank you so much for sharing, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.